The views and opinions expressed on Unlock Your Wealth Radio are those of the host, guests, and callers only and are not necessarily the views of Unlock Your Wealth Radio, Heather Wagenhals, or Success Publishing International.
More willpower than a barefoot woman at a shoe sale. Able to stretch a single paycheck for an entire month. Makes money concepts easier than third grade math. Introducing your purveyor of prosperity, Heather Wagenhals.
Work all day, stress all night. Take your mind off your money and focus on your life. Money don't matter or the stuff it bought. It's the way you think, not what you've got, yeah.
Unlock Your Wealth Radio starts now. Get your money mind right.
Yes, get your money mind right with audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at unlockyourwealthradio.com/free book and click on the link to over 150,000 titles to choose from for your Android, Kindle, iPod, or MP3 player. This segment of our show for Unlock Your Wealth Radio is sponsored by audible.com. Get a free audiobook download with them. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am your purveyor of prosperity, Heather Wagenhals, and I am flanked by the maestro of moolah, Michael Terry.
Hey, folks.
And we will help you get your money mind right on today's show with the following great features. So first off, what key is it, maestro?
It is key number 7. And
number 7.
Lucky 7.
Lucky 7. Yes, break the budget.
Break the budget.
We also have a moolah word of the day that has to do with none other than moolah and your net worth, which is great.
Cool.
It's a type of net worth. And then we also have our resident psychologist returning to the show for his latest installment of a master's course in happiness. Dr. Joel Wade will be joining us for an in-depth interview on how we can enlighten ourselves and be happy as we're on the path to prosperity and not necessarily at our financial destination. So it's really critical. I think of our mutual friend, Kim Sawyer from the Atlas Society, who is also a speaker from the Wealth Source. And he always says wealth is more than money. And happiness, one of my favorite phrases is money can't buy you happiness, but you can be sad in a better part of town.
That's great. I like that.
Yes. So you could be sad in a really nice place or sad in a really crappy place. Sad is sad, but the place would be better.
Yeah.
Well, remember, money equals choice and freedom. So the lack of money gives us very little freedom or very little choice in what's going on in our lives.
Simple as that, right?
Uh-huh. It is that simple. So that's our show. So this week's key is break the budget, as we mentioned. For those of you who are not familiar with the keys to riches, it is my financial philosophy that I came up with to help you manage your money better, to get your money mind right, specifically with our biological based approach to successful money management. And we used to feature the key here on our Unlock Your Wealth Radio show. However, it's become so popular, it's its own syndicated show, and you can find it at keys2riches.com with all of the resources for our keys. So if you are interested, please visit our website at keys2riches.com, or you can catch it on anywhere you catch the Unlock Your Wealth Radio program, any of our syndicators, both terrestrial as well as internet-based. And you can learn more about why budgets are bad, and we don't like to budget, just like we don't like to diet. We like to have a healthy savings and spending plan
There
instead.
you go. Absolutely.
Yes, so that's it. If you would like to get this week's key show, that's where you need to go to find it. Let's talk moolah word, shall we? Moolah for this week is liquid net worth. So you always hear people bantying about the comment of net worth, but there's also another form of net worth called liquid net worth. And that is simply the part of an individual's net worth that can be readily turned into cash. Liquid net worth includes investments such as stocks and mutual funds, but not include assets that are difficult to easily convert, like real estate or cars. It takes longer to sell those. So stocks and mutual funds are considered cash or like cash because they're easily liquidatable.
Yeah, that's true.
And so that's why it's important to discern with that, because you can have gross assets But once you take away all of the debts, and then you also take away all of the assets that aren't easily convertible, which is usually most of people's wealth are their physical assets like houses and cars, and cars are a depreciating asset at that. So once you subtract those two things, now you're really looking at hardcore what am I worth today? So you got to think of it like, if I had to expatriate to a foreign country, what can I take with? And that's the number, the liquid net worth.
It's becoming a valid thing to do, too.
Oh, yes. I have had friends shopping around in different countries. Let's move on, shall we? Because Dr. Wade has a lot to say this week with our monthly update from him. Dr. Joel Wade is our resident psychologist here at the Unlock Your Wealth Foundation and life coach extraordinaire, as well as Mastering Happiness expert. Dr. Wade joins us yet again for our next installment of the Master's Course in Happiness. For many years, Dr. Wade has worked primarily as a marriage and family therapist in private practice in LA, San Francisco, and Los Gatos, California. He is also a teacher of graduate students and therapists for several years. As a life coach, he finds that he can bring the best of what he has learned to his clients without some of the drawbacks that the framework of traditional psychotherapy can bring. Being a father and a husband is the most gratifying and challenging part of his life. He is particularly interested in helping parents find their ways to improve the quality of life so they can be more effective and involved parents and enjoy the most precious chapters of their life with their children. He knows what it means to be passionate and devoted to a course of action, what it takes to see it through to success, and what resilience and gratification and great fun can be born of such dedication. Dr. Wade sees happiness, true happiness and well-being, not simply as the happiness of feeling good in a lucky moment of pleasure, as he sees it as a set of skills, a practice and an attitude toward life that can be learned and applied within whatever circumstances you are currently in. Through his work as a life coach and writer, he gets to study and investigate the research and ideas that are fleshing out what it really means to make a difference in human life, what brings well-being, what grows happiness, and what contributes to a more benevolent and honorable world. The great joy of his working life is helping others to master the skills of happiness so that they can find and pursue what is rewarding for them. And now he joins us to bring you those same tools for creating success and mastering happiness in your own life. Dr. Wade, welcome to Unlock Your Wealth Radio. It's so great to have you back again.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yay. So as we are cruising through Mastering Happiness, we're halfway through. We're more than halfway through the Mastering Happiness course. And we had a really great opportunity to talk about effective thinking, and we're going to build on that this time with the power of positive emotions.
Yes.
So we hear about the power of positive thinking. Norman Vincent Peale wrote a great book on that. And so what's the difference between positive thinking and positive emotions?
Well, positive emotions are, they're feelings, they're emotions. They're thinking is a cognitive process. It's how we make sense out of things. Our emotions are more primitive. They're more biological, and they have to do with a lot of times with responses to things in the world. So they're kind of an internal feedback of what's happening in relation to us in the world. So I might feel somebody might be invading my space, and I feel anger. I might have experienced a loss, and I feel sad. Or someone looks threatening, or a situation looks threatening, I might feel afraid. Those are things we generally refer to like as negative emotions. And then there's positive emotions, which are things like joy, love, elevation, delight. There's an expansive quality to them. Serenity, peace. These are things that we experience that feel good, basically.
I'm thinking of George Costanza's dad on Seinfeld. Serenity now!
Yeah.
I'm sorry I did a little left turn there, but the squirrel came up. I had to look.
Yeah.
George.
Serenity now. Okay, so how does addressing these more primitive aspects of us dovetail off of what we learned about effective thinking and about how we can have emotions, but we can make choices about those? Because sometimes pleasurable emotions don't always lead us in the right direction. And I'm thinking of romantic interludes, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that's where the integration of thinking and emotions comes in. But the positive, if I see somebody and I'm that is good for me, that I like, that I feel good in relation to, my natural feeling will be of warmth and joy and love, and it's an expansive quality.
Okay.
I might feel that in terms of like an infatuation towards somebody, and that might be unhealthy, but that's sort of a different animal in a way. That can be more of a, I don't know. It's complicated. There's other competing forces going on there.
Okay.
But I guess let me distinguish between the negative and the positive emotions in a way that probably most people aren't familiar with.
Okay.
So there's a gal, Nina Bull, who back in the, I think it was the 40s or 50s, did research on emotions. And she has a book, The Attitude Theory of Emotions. And what she discovered was pretty darn interesting. The negative emotions, like anger, when somebody feels anger, or pain or fear, there are two parts to it. There's a natural physiological sort of a drive toward movement. So with anger, it might be to strike out at somebody. With fear, it might be to run away. But when we feel the emotion of it, there's also another thread to it. There's a competing impulse, which is to restrict that action. So I might feel like punching somebody in the nose, but I restrict it, and then I feel angry, and the anger is sort of holding back that aggressive impulse.
So you got anger against the anger.
Exactly. And then there's, if I feel like running away, but I don't, for some reason I decide that's not a good idea, then I'm stuck in a situation that I'll feel afraid. Now, if I follow the initial thread, if it's appropriate to do that, if I run away and I get safe from the danger, I'm not going to feel afraid. I'm just going to feel glad to get away from it. It's like Winston Churchill said something to the effect of, "There's nothing so exhilarating as getting shot at to no effect." Right? So
yes.
if something scaries, if something looks threatening and you run away and you're safe, you're probably going to feel pretty good. Because there isn't that restriction that creates the emotion of fear. You're not in the emotion of fear. You're in the emotion of getting away, which is life enhancing.
Yeah, but so is it truly like life enhancing? Because maybe running away may make it worse off than what it was if you just would have stood there and fought or addressed it.
Well, sure. It depends. Usually, if we can fight, the impulse is to fight. If our system judges that this would be too dangerous, then our impulse is to get away.
Okay.
I've seen. We talked about cats last time. I've seen one of our cats corner a mouse, and the mouse jumps up and bites it on the nose. Right. So
wow.
There's because
go mouse.
The mouse couldn't get away, so the only other option is to fight, even though it's impossible. impossible odds. Well, if that mouse could have gotten away, it would have gotten away. That would have been the right thing to do. So the interesting thing, though, about the positive emotions, like joy or love or expansiveness, is you don't have that competing inhibition. So that's part of why they feel so good. If I feel joy and I just allow myself that feeling, there's no inhibition of it that stops the motion. Mm-hmm. If I feel love for somebody and I can express my love for that person, there's no stopping of the motion, and so it's a feeling of pleasure. There's a pleasurable feeling for that.
Okay.
So there's a real difference between the negative and the positive emotions.
Okay. All right. So is distinguishing between those important on capitalizing or in order to capitalize on the power of emotion?
Well, here's the thing, that what's important about the positive emotions is there's an expansive quality to them. And Barbara Fredrickson, who's one of my favorite researchers in positive psychology, and she's written some great books, Positivity and Love 2.0 are a couple of them. What she's found, she has a theory called the broaden and build theory, that the more time we spend in positive emotions, when we're in those, our minds tend to be open to broader thinking about things, and our resilience builds. So we become stronger, but also more broad-minded. So we're able to take in more of a big picture about things and have greater understanding, including greater empathy for other people.
All right, I got a stumper question for you. But first, you are listening to Dr. Joel Wade on Unlock Your Wealth Radio. This segment is sponsored in part by KeepMyID.org, the only service that actually prevents identity theft. All others are just monitoring services. Put your credit on lockdown with their special offer for Unlock Your Wealth Radio listeners. Please visit our website at unlockyourwealthradio.com/KeepMyID and click on the link to protect your financial future right now. Remember to use promo code WAGS. So I got a stumper question for you because you talked about expanse and you talked about positive emotions, and Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi pops into my head.
Yes.
And I think about the work he's done with flow and how fabulous flow is, and being in that moment when you're creating, whether it's gardening or playing music or speaking on a platform, whatever your flow point is. Now, we're in that flow state. And so ideally, we want to keep that going, right? We want it to expand. But what happens when our powerful, positive emotions actually have negative ramifications, like we ignore our spouses to the point that they leave us, our children get into trouble? Like, Is this a stumper question? Am I on the right track?
It's not that much of a stumper question.
All right.
It's an excellent question. No, that's a great question, because what you're describing is sort of self-absorbed. I mean, when we're in flow, we're absorbed in what we're doing. So if we're working, we're absorbed in working. We might not notice what's going on around us, and we're probably also, frankly, not noticing our emotions either. We're just in the experience.
But isn't that what the Buddhists say? Be present-minded?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what you're describing, though, is being self-absorbed in a way that we're not paying attention to our effect on other people, and particularly the people that are most important to us. And what that involves is a quality of conscientiousness, which is the awareness of how my actions affect myself and other people, and an awareness of that. And that is a crucial element of personality. It's the most important element in terms of quality of life, in terms of success of a person's personality. The more conscientious you can be, the more happy and successful you're able to be, and the better relationships you're able to be in. So if I'm just valuing feeling good and ignoring the people in my life, basically what I'm doing is being a hedonist. I'm just valuing the feeling in the moment over the long-term building of positive experience. And those are very different things. Because, I mean, if I want to just feel good in the moment, I could probably shoot heroin or, I mean,
not a good idea.
Which I do not recommend. That's what people do when they're using drugs, is they're trying to get something in the moment. That's what people do when they indulge habits that they think are going to feel good right now. When they're just following the good momentary rush of pleasure.
So would you say that that's the distinction between pleasure and joy? Is pleasure is in the moment, and maybe joy is a little bit more longer lasting?
Pleasure in the moment is pleasure in the moment.
Okay.
Pleasure is, I think, pleasure is wonderful. I'm for pleasure. Pleasure disconnected from your long-term consciousness and experience and effect on others is dangerous and hurtful. So it's the context of the pleasure. And one of the things that Fredrickson found is that it's possible to grow positive emotions through different practices, and one of them is a kind of a meditation. If it's done over the course of 6 to 7 weeks regularly, and I talk in more detail in my course about that. But the point is that happiness is a discipline. Living a happy life is a discipline, and actually, the person that I learned that from originally was actually Devers Brandon, Nathaniel's wife, from his previous wife. He was married after her as well, but she was also an important friend and mentor of mine, and that's how she viewed happiness. It was a discipline. It was something you worked at, and she did work at it and has worked at it and is very impressive in that way.
So how do you explain to people who they live their life with the expectation that happiness should come easy, and they're frustrated when it doesn't?
Well, it doesn't come easy. You can have joy in the moment. And, I mean, you can have things happen that are nice and pleasurable and delightful, and that's great. It's nice to have something fun happen. But happiness long-term, in terms of living a happy life, is really about practicing certain things. It's about practicing certain skills that over time will develop that happiness more and more. That's what my work is all about. That's what the Master's Course in Happiness is. That's what my book, Mastering Happiness, that's why I use mastering in the title. Because there are skills to learn and practice and master, just like learning to play a musical instrument or any other skill.
So what would be one skill that we could start practicing today to help us harness that power of our positive emotions? If you wanted to feel good in the moment in a very positive way, as quickly as possible, do something kind for another person. Wow.
Nothing else gives as quick and deep a sense of joy as that.
Why do I always feel worn out when my husband says, rub my feet? I'm just kidding. He always says, if you really loved me, you'd rub my feet right now. And then I'm like, okay, hold on.
Well, I think it's more doing it because you choose to.
Right. Because sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm playing with the dog and the feet get ignored.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But the dog's happy.
But no question. He's happy to be like, no, why are you paying attention to Daddy? Wait a minute. Why? Those are feet. What about me?
Yeah. So that's, but doing something kind for another person is a very good way to feel positive emotions. Thinking of the people, think of somebody in your life that's been good to you, that you're grateful for.
Okay.
I mean, if I think about somebody, I just mentioned Devers. If I think of Devers, I have a really nice feeling. I feel a lot of gratitude towards her. And just thinking about her and thinking about that I'm grateful for what I learned from her, that feels good right now. And I bet, if you think of somebody, you don't have to tell me details, but if you think of somebody that you feel grateful for right now, how do you feel?
Well, that person is you, and I'm very grateful for our friendship because you always give me an incredible sense of both validation that I'm on the right path, and it shows through the way you support me, but you also you have this incredible peace about you that's very elating. And so whatever time, whether it's on the phone or in person, I still always walk away feeling elated is the only way that I can describe. That's the word that I feel after I spend time with you in whatever fashion it is.
Thank you.
So,
well, that's delightful to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you're amazing, and you have probably two of the greatest mentors that anybody could have ever had between Devers and Nathaniel, and so I feel like I'm one away from the master when you start sharing your wisdom with me and your insight.
Well, yeah, they are. I mean, Devers is still with us, and she's a wonderful person, and Nathaniel is certainly a wonderful person to me, and so I'm grateful to them too.
Well, if folks want to get more on mastering happiness, want to start the course, how can people find you? Because you also do personal coaching. You do a litany of other things in addition to your master's course in happiness. So if folks want to pursue other avenues of mental health and wellness, how do they do that?
Yeah, I work with people all over the world via phone and Skype, and I do that as a life coach. And so I have people I work with in Europe, Australia, Asia, all over the place, and North America, of course. And all of my information's at my website, drjoelwade.com, drjoelwade.com. And if you sign up there, you get a free Learning Optimism e-course also that'll give you some more specifics, very specific things to practice. And my master's course in happiness is available at your site, Heather. So.
Yay! We have a big fat banner up at the top.
Yeah, at a very good price, I might add.
Yes, it is. So for those of you, thank you so much for being a part of the show yet again. Joel. I'm getting all tongue-tied. So if you want to find out more about Dr. Wade and you are driving around without a pencil, never fear. UnlockYourWealthRadio.com is here, where you can visit Dr. Joel's website and click on the links to his master's course in happiness, his free Learning Optimism e-course, and so much more. And for the maestro of moolah, Michael Terry, I'm Heather Wagenhals. Now go out and unlock your wealth today.
UnlockYourWealthRadio.com is produced by Heather Wagenhals and the Unlock Your Wealth Foundation. UnlockYourWealthRadio.com and its affiliates are copyrighted 2016 with all rights reserved. For more information on the Keys to Riches Financial Wellness series, please visit our website at www.unlockyourwealth.com.